Hey, friends. If you are receiving Social Security, disability, or SSI benefits, I need you to pay close attention right now. January is bringing important updates that will directly affect your monthly payment, and there are things you absolutely need to know before that first deposit arrives. I want to be completely upfront with you from the start. What I'm sharing today isn't meant to scare you. Some of it may feel frustrating, some of it may actually help you, and all of it matters when you're managing a fixed income. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of misinformation online. Seniors are getting bits and pieces from headlines, half accurate social media posts, and incomplete explanations that leave more questions than answers. My biggest concern is that too many people will open their January bank statement and feel confused or even cheated because nobody clearly explained what was really happening. Today, we're going to walk through every important change coming this January, the increases you may see, the deductions you need to expect, and the practical steps you can take right now to protect your budget. I'll also address something that keeps coming up in the comments: questions about additional payments, when they might arrive, and who would actually qualify. You'll hear the honest truth, not rumors, not clickbait promises. So take a moment, maybe grab something to write with, and let's go through this together. Because this is your money, your security, and you deserve complete transparency. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Terry Marks. For more than a decade, I've helped American seniors understand Social Security, Medicare, and retirement benefits without the confusion and stress that usually comes with these topics. I've worked with countless retirees who felt overwhelmed by complicated rules, frustrated by sudden changes, and worried about making ends meet on a fixed income. And I've seen how a lack of clear information can turn small concerns into serious financial problems. My mission has always been simple: to take complicated government policies and translate them into everyday language that makes sense at your kitchen table. You shouldn't need an accounting degree or legal expertise to understand benefits you spent your entire working life earning. That's exactly what we're doing today. This isn't about politics. It's not about opinions. It's about preparation, clarity, and making sure January doesn't bring unwelcome surprises. January matters more than most people realize. That's because multiple benefit changes happen at the same time. Social Security adjustments, Medicare premium changes, income thresholds, tax withholding updates, they all take effect at once. They don't phase in gradually, and most happen automatically without any warning in your mailbox. That's why so many seniors look at their January deposit and think, wait, this doesn't match what I heard. It's not that you misunderstood, it's that several changes happened together and nobody explained how they interact. Here's the encouraging news: you still have time. Time to understand what's coming, time to adjust expectations, and time to prepare your budget so January feels manageable, not stressful. Preparation isn't fear, it's walking into next month with your eyes open and a solid plan. Over the next few minutes, we'll cover exactly what's changing, who will feel it the most, and how to approach January with confidence instead of concern. Let's start with the cost of living adjustment. This is the change everyone waits for and the one causing the most confusion. For 2025, Social Security approved a 2.5% COLA increase. At first glance, that sounds positive, and in some ways, it is. Any increase helps when you're stretching every dollar. But let's slow down and talk about what that percentage really means in your bank account. Because percentages don't buy groceries, and they don't pay heating bills. For the average retired worker, a 2.5% increase means roughly $48 to $52 more per month. For married couples both receiving benefits, the combined increase is a bit higher. For Social Security disability recipients, the average monthly increase is about $38. And for SSI recipients, the maximum benefit still falls below $1,000 per month, even after this adjustment. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Many people are being asked to cover rent, food, utilities, transportation, medications, and unexpected expenses on less than $1,000 a month. It's understandable if this increase feels disappointing. When you hear cost of living adjustment, you naturally hope for real relief, only to realize it barely keeps up with what you're already paying. And you're not wrong to feel that way. Grocery prices, insurance premiums, and housing costs have risen much faster than this increase can cover. Here's what is important to know: the COLA is automatic. You don't need to apply. You don't need to call anyone. You don't need to fill out forms. It will appear in your January payment without any action on your part. But setting realistic expectations now can save you a lot of disappointment later. Knowing the real dollar amount ahead of time lets you plan thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally when that deposit arrives. Now I want to address something that often creates unnecessary frustration: the maximum Social Security benefit. In 2025, the maximum benefit at full retirement age is about $3,800 per month. When people hear that number, especially if their own check is much lower, it can feel discouraging or even unfair. So let me be very clear. The vast majority of people do not receive the maximum benefit. That amount only applies to individuals who earned at the highest income levels consistently throughout their entire working career and waited until full retirement age to claim benefits. It's not a standard you failed to meet. It's simply the upper limit built into the system. The reason I mention that number at all isn't to invite comparisons. It's to help you understand how Social Security actually calculates benefits. Your payment is based on your personal earnings history, how many years you worked, and when you chose to start collecting. It's individualized. That's why two people the same age can receive very different amounts. What matters most right now isn't the maximum figure. It's understanding how to maximize what you personally receive. Knowing these limits helps you avoid unrealistic expectations and instead focus on practical strategies, available assistance programs, and smart timing decisions that fit your specific situation. You earned these benefits through decades of hard work, and the goal now is to use them as effectively as possible, with full knowledge instead of frustration. Now let's talk about a change that won't affect everyone, but is still important to understand. I want you to know about this so you don't panic unnecessarily or miss something that is relevant to your situation. Each year, Social Security updates what's called the taxable wage base. This is the maximum amount of earnings subject to Social Security payroll taxes. For 2025, that limit is increasing again. In simple terms, this means people who are still working and earning higher incomes will pay Social Security taxes on a larger portion of their wages than they did last year. For most retirees watching this change does not affect your monthly benefit at all. If you're fully retired and no longer earning work income, you can relax here. This adjustment does not reduce your benefits, and it does not create a new tax on your Social Security income. Where it does matter is for individuals still in the workforce, especially those with higher earnings. A slightly larger portion of their paycheck will now be subject to Social Security tax. I'm explaining this because there's a very common misunderstanding around it. I've heard from seniors who became anxious, thinking this meant their Social Security benefits would suddenly be taxed more heavily. That's not what this is. This is about payroll taxes for people who are currently working. It is not a new tax on your monthly Social Security check. Understanding that difference can save you a lot of unnecessary worry. Now I want to talk very carefully about a change that is absolutely essential for anyone receiving disability benefits. If you're on Social Security disability insurance and you're working or even thinking about working part-time, this part is critical. In 2025, the threshold for what Social Security calls substantial gainful activity is about $1,470 per month for non-blind individuals. That may not sound like a high number, but earning even slightly more than this can put your entire disability benefit at risk. I've seen people lose benefits not because they intended to break rules, but because they didn't realize how strict this income limit is. If you're earning income during a trial work period or while receiving disability, you must track every single dollar carefully. A few extra shifts, an unexpected bonus, or additional side work, any of those can push you over the limit before you even realize it. I'm not saying this to discourage you from working if you're able and want to, but I am saying you need to be extremely cautious and well informed. Disability rules allow very little flexibility when it comes to income thresholds. The safest approach is to keep detailed records, know your monthly earnings total before each paycheck arrives, and contact Social Security directly if you're unsure where you stand. Protecting your benefit starts with awareness. Understanding this limit before making work decisions can prevent a devastating surprise later. Now let's talk about Medicare, because this is where many seniors feel the most disappointment when January arrives. In 2025, the standard Medicare Part B premium is increasing to $185 per month. That's an increase of about $10.30 from last year. At first, $10 may not sound like much, but when you compare it to your Social Security increase, the picture becomes clearer. If your benefit goes up by roughly $50 and Medicare immediately takes back 10 of that, your real increase is much smaller than it appears. For many retirees, the net gain ends up being closer to $40 or even less, and I understand why that feels frustrating. You wonder how Medicare costs can rise faster than Social Security adjustments, especially when you're already being careful with every expense. That frustration is real, and it's justified. What matters now is planning around your net amount, not the headline number. Look at what will actually be deposited into your bank account after Medicare is deducted. That's the number your January budget needs to be built around. When expectations match reality, stress drops significantly, and you're far less likely to feel blindsided when that first payment hits. Next, we need to talk about earnings limits, which are very important if you're working while receiving Social Security. If you have not yet reached full retirement age and you're earning income, there are limits you must understand. In 2025, you can earn up to $23,400 for the year without any reduction to your benefit. But once your earnings go above that amount, Social Security begins withholding part of your benefit. For every $2 you earn above the limit, $1 of your benefit is withheld. This is one of the most misunderstood rules in the entire system, so I want to be very clear. This is not a penalty, and it is not permanent. Once you reach full retirement age, these earnings limits disappear completely. You can work and earn as much as you want, with no reduction to your Social Security benefit at all. If 2025 is the year you reach full retirement age, the rules are even more generous in the months leading up to your birthday month. The earnings limit is higher, and withholding only applies to earnings before you reach full retirement age. The key here is awareness and tracking. If you're working, monitor your earnings throughout the year and know exactly where you stand. Many seniors lose benefits temporarily simply because they didn't realize they crossed the limit. Understanding this rule ahead of time gives you control, and control brings peace of mind. Now let's talk about full retirement age, because this is a reality that is now fixed for most people planning retirement. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is permanently set at 67. This is the age at which you receive your full, unreduced Social Security benefit. Claiming benefits earlier than that comes with a permanent reduction that lasts for the rest of your life. If you claim at age 62, which is the earliest possible age, your monthly benefit can be reduced by roughly 30% permanently. On the other hand, if you're able to delay claiming beyond your full retirement age, your benefit grows for each year you wait. Up to age 70, your monthly check increases by about 8% per year. That means waiting until 70 can give you roughly 24% more per month than you would receive at 67. I want to be very clear about this. There is no universally correct age for everyone. Your health, your life expectancy, your savings, your financial needs, and your personal circumstances, all of these factors matter. The most important thing to understand is that this decision is permanent. It should be made with full awareness of the long term consequences, not rushed or influenced by outside pressure. Once you understand how these ages affect your lifetime benefit, you can make a decision that supports long term stability instead of short term relief. Now it helps to step back and look at who feels these changes most directly, because not every rule affects every person the same way. Retirees will mainly notice changes through the cost of living adjustment, the Medicare premium increase, and earnings limits if they continue working. Those receiving Social Security disability need to pay close attention to income limits, because even small amounts of work income can affect eligibility. SSI recipients are impacted by the maximum benefit increase, which may be modest, but still matters for monthly budgeting. Working seniors need to be especially careful with earnings thresholds if they have not yet reached full retirement age. Caregivers, including grandparents raising grandchildren, may feel these changes ripple through household budgets in unexpected ways, and veterans receiving both VA benefits and Social Security should remember these are separate systems. Social Security changes only affect that portion of your income. Understanding where you personally fit helps you focus on what truly applies to you, instead of worrying about rules that don't. I want to share a real situation that reflects what many seniors are experiencing right now. I recently spoke with a gentleman I'll call Robert. He's 71 years old, a widower, and Social Security is his primary income source. His monthly benefit is about $1,650. When he first heard about the cost of living increase, he felt hopeful. He thought it might finally give him some breathing room. But when he sat down with a calculator, reality set in. A 2.5% increase raised his check by about $41. Then the Medicare premium increase took effect. What remained was roughly $31 per month. That's almost exactly $1 per day. Robert told me he wasn't ungrateful. He knows every dollar matters when you're managing carefully. But his heating costs had gone up. His property taxes increased. And prescription costs certainly hadn't gone down. And he said something that stayed with me. It feels like I'm pedaling as hard as I can just to stay in the same place. If that feeling resonates with you, please know you're not alone. This isn't about poor planning or bad decisions. It's about living on a fixed income in an economy where costs are rising faster than benefits. Stories like Robert's are exactly why understanding these changes before they happen matters so much. When you know what's coming, you can plan intentionally instead of feeling blindsided and discouraged. Now, after discussing the challenges honestly, it's equally important to recognize what's still working. There is good news here, even if it's quieter than the alarming headlines. First, the increase is automatic. You don't need to apply. You don't need to make phone calls. You don't need to submit paperwork. It will appear in your January payment. Second, Social Security remains fundamentally stable. Despite fear-based content online, the program is not disappearing in 2025. These regular adjustments show it's continuing to function as designed. Third, there are legitimate assistance programs many seniors don't know about or assume they won't qualify for. Help with food costs, energy bills, prescription expenses. These programs can sometimes make a bigger difference than the COLA itself. And finally, knowledge really is power. The fact that you're here, learning and preparing, means you're not walking into January blind. You're giving yourself time to adjust, to seek help if needed, and to make informed decisions. No, this increase may not solve every challenge you're facing, but being informed puts control back in your hands. And when you're living on a fixed income, control over what you can influence is one of the most valuable resources you have. Now, let's talk about the question I see constantly in comments, emails, and messages. Is there really another stimulus check coming? And would it include seniors on Social Security and disability? I want to approach this carefully. Hope matters, but false hope can be harmful when you are trying to plan. Based on the most current information, as we move into 2025, there have been discussions and proposals about additional relief payments. Some proposals mention amounts similar to past stimulus payments. And yes, those discussions have included seniors receiving Social Security and disability benefits. However, here's the part where I need to be completely honest with you. Nothing is approved yet. There is no confirmed amount, no scheduled payment date, and no guarantee that any additional payment will happen at all. Until something is officially passed, signed into law, and scheduled by the Treasury Department with specific payment dates announced, it should not be counted on for immediate financial planning. If something does get approved and payments are scheduled, it would absolutely be welcome relief for millions of people. But the safest and healthiest approach for your financial well-being is to plan as though it may not happen. That way, you're not forced into impossible decisions later if it doesn't materialize. Planning with realism protects you far better than building a budget around money that isn't guaranteed. With that in mind, let's focus on what you can do right now, in these remaining days before January, to feel more prepared and less anxious. First, take a few minutes to calculate your real net increase. Look at your current benefit amount. Apply the 2.5% adjustment. Then subtract the Medicare premium increase if it applies to you. That final number is what your budget should be built around, not the headline percentage. Second, review your January expenses now while you still have time. Even small adjustments made ahead of time can prevent a lot of stress later. Third, if you may be eligible for assistance programs like SNAP benefits, help with heating costs, or prescription drug assistance, consider applying before the end of the year. Many programs evaluate your current income, and applying now can sometimes work in your favor. Fourth, if you're working while receiving benefits, double-check your earnings limits and track your income carefully throughout the year. Fifth, if you receive any income-based benefits, be proactive about reporting changes so there are no unwelcome surprises months down the road. And finally, check your online My Social Security account once the new amounts are posted to make sure everything matches what you expected. None of this requires panic, and it doesn't require perfection. These are simply small, thoughtful steps that create clarity and confidence. When January arrives, you'll know exactly where you stand financially, and that peace of mind is genuinely worth more than any headline or percentage. Before we finish today, I want to leave you with something truly important. I know this information can feel heavy. Hearing that your benefits are increasing by a modest amount while everyday costs rise much faster can be discouraging. It's completely normal to feel frustrated, tired, or worried when you're doing everything right and still feeling stretched. But I want you to hold on to this truth. You are not powerless in this situation. The fact that you're here right now, listening, learning, and preparing already puts you far ahead of where many people are. You're not ignoring these changes. You're not simply hoping things will work out. You're facing them calmly and thoughtfully. And that matters. Yes, January brings adjustments. Yes, some of them are disappointing. But you now have clarity, you have time, and you have the ability to plan instead of simply react. That is real strength. If this conversation helped you feel more informed, or even a little more steady about what's ahead, I'm truly grateful I could help. If you'd like to support this channel and help other seniors find clear, honest information like this, please consider liking this video and subscribing. It allows me to keep creating content that protects the financial peace of mind you worked so hard to build. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's your biggest concern as we move into the new year? Or what's one financial lesson you wish you had learned earlier in life? Share your thoughts below, Your experience may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, protect your peace, and I'll be right here with you as we move forward together, 1 month at a time.